Hi, this is Barry here, and you're very welcome to today's podcast episode from WriteCome.com. And today's podcast episode is entitled One for the Procrastinators. Now, while we all like to think that we are perfect, we don't procrastinate, and that everybody else is worse off than us, I assume none of us are free from procrastination. We put off doctor appointments, dentist appointments, maybe paying a bill until the very last moment, or going to visit somebody or whatever. And we probably have all these ideas maybe in the back of our head why we do that. We just don't want to deal with it. We're not ready to, we haven't got enough information to tackle that job, or, maybe if we put off this problem for a longer period of time, maybe it'll just magically disappear. And we all kind of live in this kind of imaginary Disneyland where everything works out perfectly in the end, rather than actually facing the problems we have or taking action on what we need to be doing. And the idea from this podcast episode came up from, now, if you don't know much about me, or you've never been over to the WriteCome site, or you're not a member of the WriteCome site, you mightn't be aware that at the moment I am running the site as a membership, and for that I need to create a lot of content every month. Some months I create maybe 2 or 3 different products, and so that's month after month. So all these products add up, and I've been using YouTube as a place where I would store my videos, and I stream all the content from my courses through YouTube. And with YouTube, you can go back into the dashboard, you can have a look at the stats, and you can have a look and see how many people have actually viewed the videos. Now, I find it's funny sometimes when I do go through the stats for the videos, maybe for a course I've released recently, maybe why I might sell maybe 30 or 40 copies of a particular product, and then when I actually go through the video views, I find that maybe only 10 people have viewed that course, maybe from start to finish. Or maybe I might find maybe that the first video might have maybe the 30 people actually watching it. The second one could be maybe 25, the third one 20. And by the time it comes down to the last one, you might find maybe 5 or 10 people who have actually completed the course from start to finish. And, it always makes me wonder, everybody's so excited to buy that course, and they rush out and they sit down and, they put in their credit card details or click the PayPal button or whatever it is. And then when they actually get the course, then I don't know whether that excitement just passes, or whether they feel, well, now that I have that course, my life is going to be a little bit better, rather than actually realizing that for their life to get a little bit better, they actually need to put that course or that report into action and actually work on it. And it could be maybe that people have, as Ben Settle likes to say, sometimes people have this kind of dopamine rush that they get when they're buying product after product. It's it's kind of like a fix of nicotine, or maybe a shot of alcohol or something in your system. You need this kind of fix over and over again. It's almost like a drug habit that you have. And in some cases, some people are actually like that. They kind of go from product to product, launch to launch, and they don't actually take any action on the content of the buy, and just basically just filling their hard drives with contents and emptying their bank account at the same time. Now, unfortunately for those people, I can't actually do much help. I can't be much help for them. It's something they need to take a look at themselves. They need to step back from the business and realize, the bad habits that they have, and, take note of what they're doing, that they're just, they're not putting all that content to action. And, for those people, I can't help all those people who are, or who just buy products for the dopamine rush. But now I probably have people maybe on my list who do buy the products, and maybe they are just, procrastinators. Maybe they feel, well, I'll come back to that course next week, and, maybe they might buy another course, and then all of a sudden that previous one's forgotten about, and then maybe they move on to the second one, then all of a sudden they jumped on to another one, and they're kind of jumping and leapfrogging ahead and ahead and ahead. And they're not actually going back and actually going through the courses, because the procrastinate, I'll come back to that when I don't need it right now, but I'll come back to when I need it, and all those different things. And the content that I'm going to go through this video here, or this podcast episode, it's something that I learned recently from Mel Robbins. Now, if you don't know who Mel Robbins is, I highly recommend that you Google her, or especially go over to YouTube and do a Google search for Mel Robbins TED Talk, because it's a 20-minute video, but it is really inspiring, and it like kind of lifts the lid on why we don't take action on things that we should do. But recently I'd watched the video, but I'd also bought Mel's book, The 5-Second Rule, and reading through the book, she comes to a section on procrastination. Now, for a lot of us, because we procrastinate, we get angry with ourselves, say, why can't I do this now? Why am I putting this off? And, it's it's like almost as if this negative talk, it's another way we can attack ourselves on. We're saying, oh, we're so stupid, we're so lazy, why can't I take action on that course, and why am I putting this off, and why am I not doing that thing now, and why am I saying I'll write that blog post tomorrow rather than doing it today, or why haven't I finished off this video course? It's already taken me 3 weeks or a month or 2 months to finish off, and I'm only halfway through it. I haven't written a sales letter, or I haven't done this and I haven't done that. And for somebody who is a real procrastinator, a lot of us will just turn that anger back on ourselves. And as Mel says, that is the last thing you need to do. The last thing you need to do is to get angry at yourself, because you need to be your own best friend. If that blog post needs to be written, it's going to be you that's going to have to write it. That video course needs to be finished, it's going to be you that's going to have to do it. And getting angry at yourself and calling yourself every name under the sun isn't going to help motivate you to do those things. And that was one thing I learned from Mel's book, was just basically the first thing she said is actually to forgive yourself that you're a procrastinator, forgive yourself that you're not taking action on what you need to do. Now, she also brought up a very important point, and it was something I never really thought about before. And as she said, in the majority of cases, procrastinators have a lot going on outside in their general life, in their general life, rather than just actually the thing that they're trying to do. This blog post that's frustrating them, or this video course that is taking so long to do. They have a bigger problem in their life. Now, she said it could be maybe a money problem, maybe somebody's completely stressed about money, maybe it's a marriage problem, maybe marriage is breaking down or something like that, maybe it's a relationship with their kids or whatever. They have all these kind of huge problems outside whatever they need to do. And she said that, when we are so stressed and, then we attack ourselves with the procrastination, we're just throwing more stress on top of all that. And she says the reason we actually procrastinate, which made sense to me when I do actually think about it, is, if your life is going terrible, if your relationship is falling apart, your marriage is falling apart, or you've got money problems or whatever it is, you have this huge big ball of stress that you're trying to deal with, and your brain is basically, or your mind is kind of thinking to itself, well, I need to get out here, I need to some way just to lighten the load, or just some way to brighten up my day or something, or some way just to make things a little bit easier today. So how can I do that? And when you look at that blog post you need to do, and you're saying, I need to get this finished, I need to get it finished, and then all of a sudden then you get maybe a beep from whatever your social media platform is, you get this chime or something that alerts you to content that's over there, or maybe you just say, well, I need to research something for this blog post, I need to go on YouTube, I need to look at this video, and then all of a sudden maybe 5 or 10 minutes later you're watching these viral videos, you're watching kittens running around, or puppies, or whatever it is, and you've gone so far off track to what you need to do. But Mel says there's actually a reason why we're doing that, and the reason is because you have this huge big ball of stress over in your life. You're looking for these little get out clauses, you're looking for this little kind of a chink of sunshine in your day, and by you actually just putting the work aside, going over and finding that little puppy video or something that's going to make you chuckle for a few minutes, all of a sudden then life doesn't seem so bad. It lightens up a bit. That huge ball of stress that's at the back of your mind, suddenly it's pushed away for a few moments, and you have this little light bit of relief. And she says that is what procrastination really is. We put off all these problems, we put off the work that we need to do because we have this other huge problem, and we put off the work even though we know we need to do it. But we say to ourselves, I'll just take a few minutes and I'll watch this video over here, or I'll just take a few minutes, I'll read this book over here, I need to do this. And suddenly then, as I said, we are pushing that big stressful problem away, and it's given us a little bit of light relief. And the bigger that problem is, or maybe the more it's going on, the more times we are actually going to look for those get out clauses, those escape hatches, to find a little bit of sunshine in our day, or some way of just putting the work aside for a few moments just to give ourselves a mental kind of break. And she said that's what procrastination is, that we just do that. And it was really enlightening to me, because although I don't have a lot of problems in my life at the moment, nothing really huge or stressful that would make me look for those different things. And I find sometimes it's easy to sit down to write a blog post or an email or create a report or something like that. Sometimes I actually get so far into it that I lose track of all time, and usually my wife then has to tell me to close out for the day because I've spent so long on the laptop, or go speak to my kids because I haven't talked to them in the day. And I don't have that problem at the moment, but I do know when I did go back to some of the times when I did procrastinate, and maybe I had money problems, I found that I probably overate, even though I knew that I should be out and exercising. But I kept saying to myself, I'm going to exercise tomorrow, and then I would sit down in front of the TV and maybe just eat a couple of bags of crisps or whatever, or have some cake or something like that, and maybe watch TV. And that in that moment, then that was my kind of release valve for the money problems I was going through. I was just kind of, it's like more or less hitting the snooze button in the morning. You don't want to open your eyes, because when you open your eyes, reality is going to step back in. You're going to have to face that problem head on. So that's what you do with your procrastinate. You're just basically just hitting the snooze button. You're just going over here for a few moments just to find something, just to lighten the mood, and trying to keep all those problems out of your life. So if you are a kind of somebody who is a big procrastinator, think about, well, first of all, I need to forgive myself. Forgive yourself, because your brain is trying to look out for you. It's trying to give you something that is going to, lift your day a little bit. And, by it finding all those different ways to do it, it's actually looking after you. It's not actually, holding you back. And it's, when you realize that, and when you see it for what it is, you're going to have to take a look at that big problem that is on the outside. And the more you kind of tackle that, and the more you kind of chip away at that, although it may be hard to do, and it's something, again, you're probably procrastinating about, but the more you kind of tackle that big problem, the more you'll probably find maybe you procrastinate less in whatever the other activity is that you need to do, because you're not looking out for those escape clauses, as I said. And another thing I found really, really helpful about that book when I went through it was, Mel was just talking about exercise with another part of another chapter in the book, when she was going on about how people put off exercising. And she was saying that when it comes to maybe exercising, again, it could be writing, it could be whatever you need to do. A lot of us kind of look for the right moment when we feel right to do it. When I feel like exercising, I will go, I put on my tracksuit bottoms and I'll go and race it, and I'll do a couple of miles a day. When I feel like writing today, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to write a chapter today. When I feel like maybe recording that video, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do that. And in the majority of times, how often have you ever wanted to get up and go for a run? How many times have you got up first thing in the morning and say, today's a beautiful day, I'm going to write today? Or how many times have you wanted to, sit in front of a video, do a YouTube video or a Facebook Live? Or how many times have you wanted to write a blog post? In the majority of times, I assume, you're just human nature, your emotions are different on particular days, and sometimes your mood's up and sometimes your mood's down. And, when your mood's up and you're feeling great, well, then it's easy to exercise. It's easy to write those blog posts. It's easy to write that chapter for that book, or whatever it is needed for you to do. And there's going to be some days you're going to get out of bed and you just want to pull the covers back over. You won't want to do that exercise. You won't want to sit in front of a video and do a Facebook Live or whatever it is. And as Mel says, in the majority of times, you're just going to have to accept you're never going to be happy. For somebody who needs to lose weight, they're never going to enjoy exercising. For somebody who wants to be a successful writer, you have to face it. You're not going to want to write every day. I'm sure, great authors like Stephen King and J.K. Rowling or whatever, when they were starting off, I assume they didn't just hit the keyboard every day and say, whoopee, yeah, this is a day I am going to write so much, pages, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I assume there's going to be days when they get up and they just say, oh God, not another day of writing, I can't do this. But those people, they struggle on, they kept going, they kept putting that content out, they kept sitting in front of the keyboard. And it's going to be the same for you too. You're going to find your emotions are going to be up and down, but there's never going to be a magical day every day when you do want to do the writing. You're just going to have to accept there's going to be some days you're going to write even though you hate doing it. There's going to be some days where the last thing you want to do is do a Facebook Live video, but you're going to have to force yourself through it, and you're just going to have to accept that. If you find maybe that isn't the reason why you're procrastinating, maybe it's time to wake up and say to yourself, well, I'm never going to enjoy exercising every day. I'm never going to enjoy writing every day. I'm never going to enjoy writing a daily email to my list or whatever it is, but I just need to do it. I have to do it. I have to keep going, because it's the only way I can keep stepping forward is to keep showing up every day, or doing the writing that content regularly, or making those videos regularly, or doing even podcast episodes. Some days I know myself, some days, the last thing I want to do is to do a podcast episode this week. Maybe I'm tired, I just don't have the motivation, I don't have the inspiration, and whatever it is. But I know it needs to be done and I need to do it. And, if you find maybe that is another reason why you're procrastinating, have a look at, just knuckling down and saying to yourself, well, I'm going to do it even though I don't like doing it, because I know this is where it's going to get me closer to my goal. And by me not doing it, I'm not going to get any closer to my goal by not actually doing the work. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode. I hope you learned a lot from it. Now, I highly recommend, if you are, if you like reading, is to go over to Amazon or wherever you buy your books from and just do a search for Mel Robbins and the 5-second rule and grab a copy of it and read through it. It's really, really worth reading through, and you'll learn a lot about yourself and why you actually do the things the way you do. And maybe if you aren't a big reader, go over to YouTube and do a search for Mel Robbins and do that search for her TED Talk. And again, it's only 20 minutes, it's a little bit out of your time, and it could be an option for you to procrastinate for 20 minutes a day by learning something worthwhile. But I know you'll find it very, very helpful. Now, if you enjoyed this podcast episode and you found it very helpful, I would really appreciate it. Maybe if you share it with just one other person, or if you would like to know more about the WriteCome site, you're very welcome to drop by. If you want to come by, it's WriteCome.com. And as I said, I have a lot of content and videos and courses over here if you want to check them out and see if I have anything that may help you today. So again, as always, thanks for sharing your time with me again today, and take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.